Welcome to circuit number 4. This is a little bit different of a circuit than the other 3. The other one we did was more of a recovery circuit. What's cool is you can take these circuits at whatever pace you really want. If you want to do a longer circuit, you can basically just start from the beginning and replay it. So in this first exercise, it's just leg straight or slightly bent to the knee, and then from here, you basically can touch the shin or the foot in all these different varied positions. So as you see, I have one where I'm going with the opposite hand towards the foot with the toe up, or the same hand towards the foot with the toe up. And then I just have both hands going towards the foot. And you can go towards the knee or the shin, or not even really that low. And I'm doing it now with more of a side bending stance where I can try doing it in a multitude of ways, where I can even go cross to see, okay, is this okay if I go down and try to touch the opposite foot? And you can pause it if you want to practice that even more. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go side bend from my back. And what's really cool with this one is you can do this on like a slicker surface, so you slide better, or if the surface has got a little more traction, you get some resistance going one way or the other, making sure that you're anchored. I can do this from my stomach or my back, and each one has got a little different feel. What's really interesting is if you notice that if you're doing a side bend in one position and it's really, really hard, but then you go towards, you flip over on your back and it's easy, it's really interesting how extension and flexion, like how the floor pushes on your back or your stomach, can influence how you actually move. Now from here, I'm just going to do a march in place. And what you can also do is making sure that the arms and the legs are moving together, and you can change the pace, or you could take it to a light jog in place if you want to, or really quick march, or you can also take it to a full sprint in place if you want to give it a shot. Or also you can jog down and back if you have a really long corridor, or you're in a gym where you can do some light running. And I'll do this for around 30 seconds to a minute, just to feel like how my legs are working with my arms, and if there's any type of hiccups where I'm not coordinating my movement quite so well. And it's really simple, just in place, using the arms, using the legs, and then shaking it out, and doing it for time. Now, from here, we're going to change up my positioning, and all I'm looking for is how my shoulder blades are moving up and moving down. And what's interesting is as I'm going through this, I didn't even notice that my head was tilting to the right. And what I can do here is, with my opposite hand giving me some feedback on my stomach, how does one shoulder move? And then how does the other shoulder move without any feedback? So I can change up feedback. You notice how I'm shrugging with that left, my head actually evens out. And now from here, I have one shoulder elevated while the other arm is going up and down. And then the other shoulder is now shrugged while the other arm is going up and down. And then I can see how my arms are moving up and down while my hands are overhead, and if that changes anything. And I can also do the same thing where one stays up and the other one stays down. Now my arms are out to the side as I'm shrugging and lowering, and also noticing as I'm looking at myself doing this, does my head want to move? Do I want to look up? Do I want to look down? All those things are really important. Now from here, we're going to take it into something just slightly different, with arms and legs moving together. So how do they move going up and out as I'm balancing? Or you can take the left hand and actually hold on to something to make sure that you're nice and strong and stable, so this isn't a balancing type movement. Or you can turn it into a balancing movement where you're anchoring one arm, or just the foot on the ground, I should say. And then from here, start rather slow, and then you can gradually change the speed and the impulse of this. And again, all that I'm doing with this is seeing exactly how this feels and how I move. Do I go out to the side? Do I go straight to the side? What am I experiencing as I do this? And how do I want to change it up? So the whole point of this is the exploration of this. Now from here, I'm just raising my arms out to the side and back down, just experiencing what happens when I do that. How does it feel? How does it move? Does my head want to look up and down? Am I tilting one ear one way to another? And then I go one at a time to see, okay, does this move easily? Does my shoulder want to shrug and upwardly rotate? Or does my shoulder have trouble with elevating where my arm would feel stuck? And it's interesting because my right side I injured a long time ago, and my left side I injured maybe a decade ago, which because kind of gives away how old I am. Now, overall, how they move together has changed over time. So as I coordinate these, they may feel completely different. Like this feels so different going one way than it does the other. And from there, I can sense, okay, do I want to practice moving the arms in a specific way so I feel like I get better motion? Or does it get worse with reps? Or does it stay feeling okay? So now, before we did same arm, same leg. Now we're doing opposite arm, opposite leg, which has a completely different feel. And doing it for different times and different reps, you can also add ankle weights to the arms while you're holding on to a weight with this, or you could change the velocity where you could change the speed and go faster with it. So either go slower and add some weight to it, or you can go faster, or you can work on your balance if you want to get better at anchoring into the ground with the leg that is on the ground, basically. So you're getting better at feeling that foot into the ground, and you can go in opposition where you can alternate, which has got a completely different feel. And you can go for a specific amount of time and see if one side lasts longer, if one side's easier, or if one side's more difficult, like what's going on as you do that. Now from here, I'm having my shoulders go front to back. So can I bring my shoulders forward? Can I bring my shoulders back? So as I'm doing this one, is there any crunches, any cracks? Is it smooth? Is it easy? Does my neck want to go in a certain way? And then I shift by doing this one shoulder forward and back at a time. So I'll do the right shoulder forward and back, then the left shoulder forward and back. And you can also do this in combinations. Like say you want one shoulder forward while the other one's moving front to back, or one shoulder back, moving front to back, or arms up, moving shoulders front to back, or arms overhead, or arms to the side. You can change up the position, and you can see I actually turn my wrist in. So here's my arms up with my shoulders going front to back. These are pretty challenging, and most people never really felt what it's like to put your arms overhead and try to have your shoulder blades go around your torso, one in front of you and around the torso behind you. So this is very challenging depending upon the quality of how your shoulders are responding. All right, now from here, I'm just doing a light karaoke side to side. Is it okay to go behind the leg? Is it okay to go in front of the leg? And I'm just doing that front to back, making sure that I feel okay in my hips and in my feet as I'm doing this. It's even if you have a longer runway or longer path, you can go all the way down and all the way back, and just do it for a certain amount of time, making sure that you feel okay when you do this. You can also turn the pelvis more when you're doing this, or keep the pelvis facing straight ahead so you have more of a hip rotation rather than a pelvic rotation. And you can definitely do that for a specific amount of time, or you can start a timer and see how long you go until you need to stop. So there are two different ways that you can literally track how your ability is going. And then when you're done, make sure that you feel okay when you're doing it. So now I'm going to take, because those shoulders were going front to back, I'm going to see how that arm goes all the way back and all the way forward. I'm just going to change the position of my palm. Sometimes I like to do it where the palm's facing up. Sometimes I like to do it with the palms facing down. Sometimes I like to do it where I turn my head right. Sometimes I do it when I turn my head left. Sometimes I do it where the whole body is changing orientation. So how many different ways can you do this and feel okay, and which ways are more challenging? So if you find a challenging way, it's really interesting to write down what's challenging and then gradually add different components to it to see if it becomes less challenging, and then what then makes that position more challenging. So what I like to do is I like to start with the thing that's less challenging and then start adding the positions that are way more challenging. And only you are going to know which is more challenging to you and what feels okay and what feels maybe not okay. And whatever we start with, and here's going to double arm versus single arm, whatever we start with, you can definitely change up these positions. This is a construct. So you can change up how the arm rotates in, how it rotates out. You could have elbow bent. You could be on your back. You could be on your stomach off the edge of something. And from here, we went from karaoke, which was going in front and back, to now shuffling. Can you just shuffle and kind of hop side to side? What are you going to be looking at from here? I'm looking down and left for some reason, but you can look down and left, down and right, making sure that you're in the right spot. You can shuffle forward, shuffle back. Those are all possibilities with this, but I'm just shuffling side to side until I build up some fatigue. I was just going for 30 seconds to about a minute, make sure it feels okay. And then I can also do it where I take less steps, where I'm just going side to side, trying to move my feet out as far as I can, and then right back to where I came from, adding a little bit of quickness to it. From here, I'm going to bring my arms all the way up and all the way back. And from here, as I do this, this is also utilizing how those shoulders are not only going forward and back, but how they're going up and down. So we're combining all the pieces that we just practiced together, and I can add this into torso flexion extension, and I can also work this into more of like a rotational side bend state if one arm's going back while the other one stays up, which is also a unique perspective. You can change your head position. You can change your torso position, because here you can see I'm arched. Well, it's weird when you start flexing your torso a little bit in either the thoracic portion or the upper back or the lower back or the neck, and see what happens to how your shoulders actually respond. Here's an opposition where I'm seeing, okay, if I go through flexion and with one extension to the other, how does it feel? What happens with my torso? Where do I want to look? Those are all really cool feedback loops to how you're moving these shoulders. Just testing out and practicing different shoulder positions can be enormous. Thank you guys for going through the circuit with me today. If you want to do this longer, just start her right over and right from the beginning, and I'll see you next time.